the Strat in a second, or the PRS Strat, right? This is the John Mayer SE one, right? Sounds pretty good. All right, just a little bit of playing at the beginning. YouTube, what is up, you guys? Welcome back. Another OG Tim video. I'm sitting in my room, studio, whatever you want to call it. And today I got maybe a bit of a controversial topic, but I think this will be kind of fun. I want you guys to comment and stuff. I'm going to say off the bat, just my opinion, something I've noticed, so don't come after me and hating on me on this. The topic I think I'm going to talk about today in the title of the video is like, man, is the era of like hearing the guitar solo coming to an end. And I particularly mean this for what I would call like the middle class musicians. So what am I talking about when I say that? Man, I was thinking about this recently and I have this thought a lot. It's modelers going direct in, not using amps. More and more people now are just not using a real amp. And there's a ton of people that are getting great tones and it sounds great direct in, but I've been noticing, particularly at like the middle class musician level, where most of us are, that's, man, so often I'm at downtown on Broadway here in Nashville or somewhere, and someone's going and they're ripping a guitar solo. You can like hear they're doing something and they're doing a ton of stuff, but you can't actually like hear what they're doing. And I think a lot of the times it comes from going direct in, and you're just, there's no extra volume boost. Now, a lot of us have probably heard people going direct in and it sounds awesome. And if you go to any big concerts, so many of those players are all going direct in now. There's still more people, I'd say almost more than not, that aren't using real amps. But that's not necessarily who I'm talking about, because, right, the people playing on those giant concerts, if you go see Taylor Swift, anyone, right, that is such a small percentage of musicians, and those people have a dedicated front of house person or multiple people running sound that know they can push the faders or their volume's going to be boosted a little bit for the solo or whatnot, so you always hear it. So that's not really who I'm talking about. I'm talking about everybody else, everybody that's going to a bar gig and stuff, and you're going direct in, and you've got just the house sound guy that gets your mix initially, and then you don't see him again. You know, he sets your mix, then he's gone. And I see this all the time in Nashville, man, where like the guy's a ripping guitar player and he's ripping, and I know he can probably hear it up on stage, and you like hear he's taking a solo, but you can't even hear what they're doing, you know. And man, when that's the case, it makes it so hard to sit and play a solo that might be not as ripping, something where you're really milking, you know, it's hard to do that when the drums are loud and you just have like no control over your volume. Now, I get it from a sound perspective, a sound engineer's perspective. For them, they like it because it makes the work easier, and they're not playing guitar, so they don't care, and no one ever does, you know, where it's like, okay, give me a direct in signal, I have all the control over you, you're in the box. And most of the time, for most people going direct in, they're not with a dedicated front of house person. There's not someone over there actively pushing faders and moving stuff. So it's all these people like in the middle, which is where everybody's at, you know. All the people that are on that huge stuff is such a minuscule percentage of all the people that play live music. And man, I just keep seeing stuff and I'm thinking, dude, is the age of like actually being able to hear what anybody's playing like coming to an end, you know? And it sucks because I think it really does affect the middle class musician the most. I see so many great cats on Broadway or at some bar gigs, or even I've seen gigs in town at a little bit bigger venues where they're playing a guitar solo. It sounds like it sounds good, but it's just not cutting through enough, and it's not quite loud enough that I see them ripping and doing all this crazy stuff. I'm like, I know that dude can play, but I can't hear anything they're playing, you know? And it's just made me think like this would be an interesting topic to just bring up on here. I know in the comments there's probably about to be a flurry of opinions, which is fun, you know? It's unfortunate. I think that the people that are probably suffering the most from that are the people in the middle, you know? Because, like I said, any act that's traveling with a dedicated sound guy is going to bump that fader some. He's going to, most of the time, he or she, whoever, the person is going to recognize, okay, he's soloing, you can't really hear it, let's bump it up a little bit. Okay, now he's coming off, I bump it back down. So I hear tones all the time that sound great, but I've just noticed so much recently that I'll be watching something and I'll be like, man, I just wish I could hear what the dude was playing. It's just a flurry of whatever, and you can't, it doesn't cut, it doesn't have the body, you can't hear it over or through that. Now, that's obviously not always the case with going direct, but it's just happened and I've noticed enough where I was like, this would be an interesting topic to bring up on YouTube and see what all of you guys out there think. Because it does, I keep... It happens enough where I really am like, dude, is the age of like hearing what the person's actually playing like going away, you know? And I think that's inadvertently happening, but I always, even if I'm playing downtown, I'll just bring a little Blues Junior, but I can play to the room. And that is another thing too. Like when I'm doing that, I'm playing to the room, so when I'm not soloing, I've got a lower volume and I'm listening to the band. I don't have in-ear monitors in most of the time for those types of gigs. Now that is because I have a real amp on stage, but I'm controlling my volume, you know, whereas I know the age-old thing is someone's got an amp and they're just playing way too loud the entire time. And that's just the player's fault at that point, right? You've got to use dynamics. You've got to tune yourself to the room. But when I've got an amp, I know that, like, okay, if my solo's not cutting it all on stage, I can bump it just a little bit and play it and then back off when I'm not supposed to be heard, you know? Especially because I'm not a shredder. I really rely on being able to feel it and play good so I can come in and do it. Whatever, right? That's just me playing, just to have some fun playing. But this is kind of a shorter video today, but I'm really coming on to get your guys' thoughts on this. Have you experienced this? It can't just be me. And I know a lot of players don't even have the option. You know, there's a lot of bars in Nashville now that are switching to not only you have to go direct in for the guitar, but they're switching to electric drum kits. In certain bars, it makes sense. There's some bars that are more restaurants, and then there's a band playing right there, and they don't want it crazy, crazy loud. I get that. But, you know, if you go to Jason Aldean's or anything like that, everybody's in the box, and they are very strict on, like, all right, we are going to control all the sound. We're going to have it as loud as you want. And, yeah, at certain times at night with a good sound person, I'm not saying this is the case across the board, but I just see it enough. Then I'm like, dude, it hurts as a guitar player, you know, as a sound man, you're probably loving it, and it's less work, but man, it's just, I've got so many friends that I'll go and see play cover gigs that I know are great, and you just can't hear what they're even playing. You know they're taking a solo, you see it, you hear it, but there's no definition. I couldn't play back anything they were playing, you know. It's just sad, man. So I know I'm really lucky. I always use a live real amp. And part of that, like I was saying too, is I'm always playing to the room. I'm conscious of my dynamics. I'm conscious of where I'm sitting in the mix with the band. I step on a drive to make it a little bit louder. And I know going direct in, like, you can still do that, but there's just something about it that I just keep seeing that it's like, man, I bet that solo was good. I bet the guy's a great player, but just can't hear anything he's doing, you know? So kind of a short video today, but I thought this would be interesting to just bring up the topic, and I want to hear what you guys think. Have you run into this? Am I the only one that's like seeing this happen? It's so often where I'm like, man, I'd love to hear that guy through a real amp, or I'd love to just hear it where I can hear him, because like I keep saying, don't get me wrong, especially with Lanco, like we travel and play with plenty of people that are going direct in. In fact, I'm almost in the minority most of the time with the real amp. We just played with Tyler Farr's crew, and when we were sound checking, I remember the guitar players were walking back to their bus, and I heard one of them go like, "Oh, real amps, nice," said something like that, you know. But that's a different story. They've got a dedicated front of house guy. Now from side of stage, all you can hear is the drums. I can't hear like anything they're doing on guitar. But that's not what this video is about, because there, all the sounds coming out of the PA. When I go out to front of house, you can hear them. And when they play a solo, you can hear it, but they're actively making sure you can hear that, you know? So it's really the middle class of musicians that aren't traveling with a sound guy, which it's like I keep saying, that's everybody, you know? There's a very small percentage of people playing music that are traveling with a dedicated sound person that is pushing some of those faders or whatever. So it sounds great most of the time. People are getting great tones out of them. But just going to a bar gig, you know, they do this thing called bus call here in Nashville, which you've ever heard of something like Whiskey Jam. It's very similar. I saw one of those not too long ago. Bus call had posted a clip, and a guy was taking a guitar solo and just ripping. I mean, it looked like he was killing it. Couldn't hear at all what he was doing. I mean, you can hear it, but you can't hear it. You know what I mean? Am I making sense? So anyways, I'm going to keep it short and sweet today. I just wanted to bring that topic and let the comments run wild. So hey, don't come after me. I get it. And a lot of people have to go direct, and I understand. But, you know, I mean, does that mean for all the normal, regular, working class musicians that if you're playing in a rock band, you might not really be getting heard anymore? I don't know. Maybe. I keep running into that, and it's just kind of bums me out. Kind of bums me out, man. I get the convenience of it. I get all of it. I totally understand. And when you can hear it, it sounds good most of the time. But I just keep running into that problem. So anyways, short and sweet. I'll sign off here. But hey, all the new subscribers, I can't thank you guys enough. I hope you guys are enjoying this content and stuff. I got a bunch of stuff coming on the way. I got a backlog of stuff I've shot and videos we're going to be putting up, more gig vlogs, more topics like this where I'm just hanging talking. I like doing teaching stuff. I'll be honest with you guys. My teaching stuff on YouTube doesn't seem to do as well, so I've been staying away from it. But if you want more of that, write a comment. Write a comment in general. What do you think about this? Have you experienced this before? Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? You know, let's keep it civil. This is a hot topic, no doubt. But I'll say one more time, thank you to all the new members. You guys are crushing it with the membership, and it's really exciting to see that Discord grow and you guys talking and hanging out in the Discord. I'm filming later today kind of a welcome video for the members and whatnot. So if you're interested in that, there will be a link in the bio in the description. But I think that's it. So if you like the video, hit subscribe, you know, do the YouTube thing, right? And until next time, peace.